Welcome, folks. How you guys doing tonight? This is going to be one of our first. excuse me. Uh, this is the last show of the year as far as the Pick'em show goes, but this is going to be the launch of our new sister show, and we'll have some more about that in the coming weeks on our Tuesday show. But you know what? This is going to be a 30-minute show, and all we want to do is just tell you why you should pick. I guess, man, Blaine, Shayne, I know you guys are both going to pick the Eagles. I don't understand how me as a Patriot hater, I just can't go with you. But I guess
What
we're going to
makes
talk
you
about
think I'm
that
going to pick the Eagles?
from the other show. Maybe he's changed his mind since Tuesday. But before that, you know what? We do have 30 minutes. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the news that's going on in the NFL. And Shayne, why don't you launch us into that, please? And thank you.
Well, you know what? Let's get this started with the quarterback situation with Kansas City as well as with Washington. I mean, I think it's a huge shock that Alex Smith is going to Washington. I don't think it's a shock for people to see Kirk Cousins gone from there. I think that we all saw that happening just every time he played the franchise tag for as many times as they have. They basically lost faith and trust in him as their go-to guy. So they bring in Alex Smith, who, I mean, really, after the first 5 games of the season, kind of went all over the place, didn't do as well as he should have, and then sort of got himself back into a playoff contention, but then, things filtered from there too. But the thing with Washington on this one is still the same thing. Who is he going to throw to? Who's going to run the ball and who's going to protect them? So really, does it take a genius here to figure out and say, we don't have the supporting cast for any quarterback right now? So they're paying some big coin to get Alex there. Who is going to protect them? Who's going to carry the rock? And who is going to be out there catching it for that team as well? So that's the thing that I think they really need to look at coming up to the draft season, as well as seeing who they're going to pick up in any type of free trade and things like that as well too. So to me, that's what I'm seeing out of this is it's going to be an interesting, and I think this is just the beginning. There's no question about that of certain things that are going to be coming from some of these teams that are going to say, listen, we need to up our stock and let's get this thing flowing.
I think that I'm going to give kudos to the Skins for finally releasing or letting Kirk Cousins out of jail. I mean, they've been holding him hostage for 2 years now with this franchise tag. And, pay up or shut up. But, let's get on with it. I think Kirk Cousins now is going to, I don't know which team he's going to land with. He's free to make that big deal. Yeah, it didn't hurt his bank account to be the highest, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league for a year. But these players are looking for long-term deals where they can solidify their future for them and their families. And I think it was finally Washington has stopped playing this game of holding him hostage. Now he'll get to settle in for a team, maybe get comfortable enough to really show what he's about. Because I really don't think that you've seen the best of Kirk Cousins in the Washington uniform. Now, the problem with Alex Smith being, and from what I understand, they've negotiated an extension, 4-year extension, so he'll be there on a 5-year deal in Washington. But and as you alluded to, Shayne, who's he going to throw to? I mean, they've got to surround him. They've got to make some more moves in DC to become viable and a playoff team again. And will he work in that system? I mean, in Kansas City, he had a system of more of a manager, but he did it well. You're not going to see him going down the field that often. You're going to see, shorter and intermediate passes. Will that work in DC? Well, time will tell. But I think it's great. I think it's a great move to finally put this nail in the in the coffin of uncertainty in DC and let Kirk Cousins move on and become, respectfully the player that we're waiting to see. What really surprised me though on this is the timing of this. Usually, you don't get any moves during the Super Bowl week because I thought it was like maybe a stated or unstated rule that you didn't want to what's the word I'm looking, overshadow the Super Bowl. And then we get a deal like this. This is very rare because usually these come after the Super Bowl. So, and they can't do anything right now. They can't legally sign them right now anyway. They have to wait, I believe, until, at least another couple of weeks. But anyway, that's all. I'm relieved that this saga is over. The next thing is, where does Kirk Cousins land? Will he land in New York? Will he land in Denver? We'll see.
So to talk about our homer team. So I'm going to let these guys talk a little about their homer teams tonight after we do the Super Bowl, or in between doing and slip in some homer stuff like I'm about to do right now. Once again, folks, this is the Pigskin Preview. This is the sister station. This is Baltimore Blayne, as well as coach, writer for USA Today, until coach, as well as blesses me with my craziness doing this show and some other shows coming up. So we love him for that, as well as we are all on the Mancini Network stations and stuff. But let's get this Super Bowl week. So let's go. So we got a great show on Tuesday, Shayne, and it sucked that you didn't get a chance to go on more time because I really wanted to ask you about a couple of things. But just before that, because I've not been allowed to talk about the Seahawks, I want to say that Brian Schottenheimer is the worst pick that Pete Carroll's ever made. I think that is the worst offensive coordinator that you could have ever picked. However, very quickly, while we have Shayne on, it looks like what Pete Carroll and his guys did. And we'll only spend a couple of seconds on this, because Seahawk fans are like, we understand it's the playoffs, but you've completely gone away from the homer deal. It looks like he has acknowledged there needs to be a change in culture and a change in people, but instead of going after the players, he basically ripped the coaching staff apart. So besides, what you think about the coaching staff, as a mental coach, what does that show players? And is the fact that you have some older, kind of Pro Bowl All-Star type players. Do you think that was a good move? Take a couple seconds on that. And then Blayne, if you want to talk a little bit about the changes that Baltimore is making to get better. And also, Coach, if you want to talk about your Raiders, you're more than welcome to. But I would like to know what you think about that situation. And then Seahawk fans, we're done until we get to the offseason.
Well, you know what? The thing I'm seeing from this is you're absolutely correct, in which they said, you know what, there's going to be a shakeup in that organization. No question about it. And you're going to be losing some players. You're going to be losing a lot of key people. But they feel that the coaching staff can come in there and revamp and take over the locker room and be in control. I think they were losing control of that locker room in many, many ways. You'll never come out. No coach will ever come out and say that realistically. It's the players that all do that. And as much as, Coach Carroll there has been a locker room guy, he's been an utmost respectful man in every way. I think there just comes a time when the organization looks at it and says, okay, something's got to give. So what are we going to do here? And I just think this was their time to do that. So like I said, it's real interesting of this off season of changes with coaches. And I'll tell you what, this is what's going to be amazing as soon as Super Bowl is done. Coaches that are going to be going to their respectful teams and they're just going to start all over and all fresh. Teams are losing players. and coaches, and you're going to get new coordinators. You're going to get a whole new dynamic system, and it's just going to be a real wild time in this next little bit. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, and the changes that are going to be coming, and it's going to definitely open up a lot of eyes, and people are going to be pretty surprised, I think, of what we're going to see pretty soon.
Just real quick, Blayne, before you jump in, I apologize. The question about why are these quarterback moves being made, I just want to say that I think that because of the fact that there's so many coaches and things being moved around, that I believe, and I would like you to speak on this, that maybe the reason that these quarterbacks are being moved around so early pre-Super Bowl is due to the fact that some of the coaching staffs are saying, well, I'll come, but who's going to be your quarterback? So go ahead, talk on that. If you wanted to talk a little bit about anything that myself or Shayne spoke about earlier, please go ahead, talk a little Ravens. You got about 3-4 minutes, and let's get in the Super Bowl.
Okay. It's reset time. And I'm excited about it too, Shayne. It's reset time. And I think you're right. It's going to be wild because, you have new coaching staff, new systems being put into place, and new quarterbacks coming in. It makes it exciting. It makes it it's going to be harder for these teams at the beginning of the year to plan against each other with, because you don't know what what to expect. You've seen these quarterbacks. Yeah, you'll know how to defend against these quarterbacks. And in certain cases, it's going to be the system that you're going to have to defend against. So you're not going to have that, that much footage on that with these new coaches. So that's going to be exciting. I wanted to say that among those coaches that were almost replaced, as it came out in the State of the Ravens address today, which featured the Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti, was that he considered firing John Harbaugh. It was a consideration, and he decided not to make that move now. But the big news that came out of One Winning Circle today at Ravens facility is, also called the Castle, is that Ozzie Newsome is stepping down after the 2018 season as general manager, and will be turning over the keys to Eric DeCosta, who has been the assistant general manager. According to Bisciotti, this was started back. This was a decision made after the 2013 season that Ozzie was going to step down after 5 years and give the keys to Eric DeCosta. Will this make the Ravens a big difference in the Ravens drafting? We'll see. But remember, Eric DeCosta was part of that team that is drafted over the last several drafts that have been less than stellar, even though I think it's too much emphasis has been put on the misses of this draft. I'm trying not to go over time here.
Yeah. I got a good job.
All right.
Because we're gonna try and
More
do some
to come.
some more Homer stuff in the off season so that our local fans can do it. So real quick, does Ozzie go to the Hall of Fame with 2 jackets? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start on the.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to say is that he's going to be the highest paid scout in the league because he's staying with the organization.
That's a smart take. Stay tuned in the off season because we're going to talk about that. We're going to look into that and how all that stuff works. So we have a few minutes left. We have more than a few minutes left. But let's get the Super Bowl. Gosh darn it, it's a few days before the Super Bowl. So let's go, and I think we're going to go to position by position. So Brady, I think, is pretty simple over Cousins, excuse me, over Foles, except for the fact that, will the pressure up the middle be a big deal? We talked about that a lot on the last show. So I think we're going to skip that one. And I think what we didn't really get a chance to focus on was the running game. So that's kind of what this show is about, is the things that we didn't get to talk about on Tuesday. So I'm going to pass this around, but I want to put out a couple of quick stats that are just amazing to me. And thank you to Evan Silva, who I think is the most underrated person. If you're on Twitter, you got to follow Evan Silva if you like football. The Eagles showed minimal defense towards defended back play in 2017. Talking about people going up the middle, but perimeter backs and going into the playoff games, Devontae Freeman caught 10 catches or 10 rushes, 7 yards, 0 touchdowns. Latavius Murray, 6 for 18 and 0. Tevin Coleman, 10 for 79, but that was basically broken on one play. And McKinnon, 10 for 40. And that's how they've been able to stop people. And basically all Dion, Rex, and James do is go outside and run. And that front seven for for Philly, which I had to say, like, I had to take it back because I made the prediction that Philly's whoever played Philly for the first game of the playoffs was going to beat him because of Foles. And one of our listeners said, "Hey, you know what? Defense and running game is going to beat them." I think that they can really shut down both the run on the inside and on the outside. So I think that's my little nerdy stat thing for the deal for the running backs. And I'll give you a chance to go ahead. Shayne, let them know what you think about that.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing I'm going to say about this is that after watching these playoff games, I mean, Jacksonville, without a doubt, I mean, has the most incredible running back, and with Fort there, and the thing is that you can see that they could be run on. There's no question about it. New England can be run on. They can be, and the luxury that the Eagles have is they've got 3 good backs that can do multiple things out there. That is a huge, huge benefit for them. On New England side with Lewis, that young man can tear up a storm. He can come out of the backfield. He can do so much damage to you if you do not cover him properly. The one thing, though, is that he also sometimes, when they play that little screen action pass and everything, he does sometimes have a little bit of the fumbles. He's a little tricky out there with that ball at times. So if they can keep somebody eyeing him and making sure, they are going to be able, I think, to keep him in check. That Philadelphia front seven, without a doubt, showed so much tenacity out there and when they came after Minnesota. There's no question about that. And they can do a lot of damage. New England, yes, they play as a team, but like I said, I just think that, you know what, it's a real interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see how this run game goes. I'm actually very excited about that, and I think if you're betting on this, on certain things, that first quarter is going to be all about the run game. So that's what I'm looking at to see exactly how they come out with that type of style, and then we go from there.
Well, I want to echo what you said, Shayne, about New England being able to run the ball. I mean, not New England. The Eagles being able to run the ball on New England's defense. You got especially two great backs on that team that are going to be bruisers and that are going to have to be stopped. Ajayi and Blood. And the Patriots are notorious for slow starts. I read something where the New England Patriots in Super Bowls I don't think they've ever scored any points according to this article, in the first quarter in Super Bowls. I'm not sure if it's ever or that was over a period of time, but recently anyway. And we've seen that throughout the season where they've had to come back. And we'll get back into that a little bit later. But Chris, I wanted to know whether or not those stats you were talking about the front seven of Philadelphia, is that with Timmy Jernigan being healthy? Because everybody's
just
healthy now.
Those were just the last 2 playoff games. That's all I'm talking about.
Everybody's at full health now, and that's what's going to that's going to be a big factor in this. No weaknesses as far as that Philly defensive front is concerned. So go ahead, Chris, your take.
Yeah, so I think that's really going to come down to. It's going to basically come down to. I mean, we'll get into defense in a second. We talked a little bit about the upfront pressure. So I'm going to go back to you, Blayne. Why don't you talk about pass catchers, and then we'll go back the other way in the circle. So why don't you talk about pass catchers on both sides, maybe a little bit about Alshon predicting a victory when he's never even been to the Super Bowl, and what why that maybe that's good or not. Maybe that's a better question for Shayne. Let's take two. Start with you, Blayne, and then I'll finish with the pass catchers, and then we'll start on defense.
Well, I'm going to give the again the as far as pass catchers out of the backfield, you mean, or pass catchers in general?
For this game.
Yeah, sorry, mute button. In general.
Well, as far as the Eagles are concerned, Foles has shown that that now he's connected with, or he's developed some chemistry with Torrey Smith and Aguilar, and they're it's rekindled what we saw with Wentz before the injury. So it's going to come to, again, and I'm beating this dead horse. It's going to come to pressure. Which defense can pressure the other's quarterback the most? And when it comes to Brady, I know that I've seen more Patriots games than I've seen Philadelphia games, but I can tell you, especially with Foles versus Brady, I can see you put pressure on Brady and you get incomplete passes. You force him out of the pocket. You put pressure on him, and he starts to make mistakes. And that's what it's going to come down to as far as that's concerned. You got solid receivers on both sides. The receivers on the New England Patriots side, I would give the nod to. I have not seen receivers on any team, a group of receivers on any team, better than the New England Patriots receivers at knowing where they are on the field, as far as the sideline is concerned, as far as out of bounds is concerned, not only securing the catch right away, but knowing where your feet have to be when you come down with the ball and completing a catch. The fundamentals on that team, the New England Patriots, are by far the best that I have seen across the NFL. When I've made my criticisms about wide receivers in this league, who seem to celebrate or practice their celebrations in the end zone, celebrations more than they do the fundamentals and basic catch, ability, their skills.
All right,
so
all right, Blayne, we got to move on. We got to move on.
Good. Just cut me off.
Keep this 30 minutes for. Yeah, no, I apologize. We got to keep this 30 minutes for a specific network. So we're going to change this up a little bit. Coach Shayne, why don't you tell us about the hit to him coming back and Ertz, and make it 2 minutes long, and then we're going to go around defenses and give our picks real quick. We're just not used to having this 30-minute time limit. I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I'm going to get here going with Gronk and Ertz. I mean, first off, Gronk took that vicious hit, no question about it. And you know what? It rattled him. And I guarantee you, he's still, as much as this guy wants to get out there and play, you know what? He's still going to be, as soon as that first impact hit comes, he's going to be a little feeling and a little shaking it too. So Ertz on that side, man, that guy can play. Unbelievable. He's doing a great job for that Philly team, and I'm very, very impressed with him. And they need him. They need him to step up and do what he's been doing.
All right. I think that that was the exact way how you teach people not to hit anymore. I think you saw 2 hits in the playoffs, one from the guy who hurt Gronk but also kind of cost him the game, as well as the head down dive into the legs, try not to get fined and be kind of cheap in the Saints and Vikings game that cost them everything. So what's basically going to come down to for me, as we get into our last few minutes, is let's make a pick at. So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to pass it to Baltimore Blaine, and then I'm going to pass it to Coach Shane McGowan, and we're going to make a pick, and we're going to talk a little about defense. Because I think that's what's going to be the deal. Because we both know that, or we all know that Brady is, Montana 2.0, and Foles is, going over expectations. So that conversation's been kind of beaten to the ground. So I'm actually gonna have to say, even though I don't want to, that just NFL Belichick, one game, ready to plan. And Blaine talked about catching stuff in the out of bounds, all those things. Basically, what he's explaining is situational practice, situational coaching, situational football, which is what makes Belichick so good. And I think in a situational game like this, he's going to do okay. However, Philly's defense, the pressure up the middle, is exactly the recipe for beating Brady. So I think this will either be the crowning moment or the fall off the cliff moment for Brady and Belichick. Well, not Belichick, but for Brady at least. But I'm going with the Pats. Stop your email, Seahawk fans. I got to go with what I feel. But
Drum roll, please. Brrr.
Pressure up the middle, man. Pressure up the middle is the key. And not only that, the running game. If Foles can make third downs, can get first downs with the run, can give the defense a chance to rest and put some pressure on and keep the game slow, like the old Cowboys, run and have a good defense. I think that's how they win. But yeah, Gronk. My hot take of the week is going to be that Gronk has like one of those weird career days. I took over too much time, but yeah, Pats win. Gronk career day. Philly comes close. Swan song. Go ahead, Mr. Baltimore Blaine.
I'm going to make it quick and simple. I've been standing on the fence all week, and I've been teasing this. I guess I tipped my cap a little bit because Chris, you called me out at the beginning of the show. I'm going Eagles. I'm going Eagles. Probably, and the for some reason the score 30-23 comes to my mind, but then it keeps fluctuating between 30-23 and 30-27. I think it's going to be, one of those games. This, of course, it's going to come down to the end, and it's going to be that running game. The Eagles are going to run the ball over the New England's defense, setting up Torrey Smith and company, as well as on defense. You're going to have pressure on Brady, forcing mistakes, and Corey Graham and the secondary are going to capitalize on that. So that's it. Going Eagles.
Final call. See,
Okay.
I told you to go Eagles.
I'm-
You called me out in the
Yep.
beginning. I said you're going to go Eagles. You went Eagles. Go ahead. Jay. Go ahead.
Nah.
Don't pursue.
You know what? I said it. I said this on Tuesday. I tipped my cap then, and I said the same thing. I'm going to stick with it. I'm taking Philadelphia, and the reason I'm taking Philadelphia is you're right. I think their defense is much stronger than the Patriots, and I think they're going to be able to get in there and rattle Brady and do some things to also contain Gronk and the rest of those other guys and make some things happen where Brady has to be pressured into forcing those passes, and he's not going to like that at all. And, the other thing we're forgetting about, too, is this is the last time he's going to be playing with this offensive coordinator. Last time that defensive coordinator is going to be out there, too. There's a lot of emotions that are going to be happening, and I think sometimes that can also play a little bit against you with some havoc. You always want to go out with a big bang. I just think, though, that this is the time where Philly's going to take advantage of this, and they're going to come strong and come hard at these guys.
All right, folks. So just so you know, if you found this somehow, this is going to be the launch of the new sister station for Mancini. We're still going to do all our Mancini stuff. We have some other shows coming on, but please download this. This will be a short one, but we're going to have some new shows. But like this, like the station, pass this along to your blog talk guys, because this is going to be something that's going to be on the side, so we can give you more of us, which is exactly what you love. Even the people that hate us just want more of us to write bad things to. So we appreciate all of you guys. We appreciate all of you. And Good luck on the Super Bowl. It's basically Chris against the world, picking it against the team I hate the most. So that doesn't feel good either way. But Aaron, thank you so much. What's your name again? What city are you from?
I'm up here in Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, but I am actually from LA, so I have dual citizenship.
And you, don't you have a city in your name or something?
Everywhere's. I have a country named after me.
No, I was talking. No. I was talking to the gentleman that actually has a city in his name. I was trying to get.
You mean
I think he has
Baltimore, baby?
There it is. There it is. We love you, Mr. Hirsch. We miss you. Thank you so much, guys. And we have some big, big, big things coming up this year. So thank you so much for the support. And we have found out ways to bring you more content and to no longer have missed shows. So we love you. We appreciate you. And go. Yeah, I don't really care. Either I'm right or and so yeah, whatever it is. But we're gonna be going on. We're gonna do stuff, and don't forget, just like we did last year, we have preseason stuff. We have stuff all preseason. We break down every single division. We break down the draft. We break down everything. Shane McGowan, Mark Hirsch, who's not with us because he's doing Mark Hirsch things and traveling. Mark Mancini will be on that network still. Mr. Baltimore Blayne, as well as the other friends of the pod. We will have a lot of big things coming. And don't forget, it's still hockey season. So don't forget to shut the puck up. Shut the puck up
Every
on
Monday.
Mancini Sports.
Every Monday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific.
There it is. No problem, guys. We'll talk to you soon. We love you. Make sure you go and visit us. And if you are a Mancini person, make sure you click on the like and the follow. And that's how we're going to start new big things in 2019, 2018, 2017, whatever year it is. It's going to be good. We're going to have a good time. Thank you, guys. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.